every city basically was a star city. It had these stars around them, but they were all walled, but also cymatic shapes. These are the moats, we're told, right? Because we're all taught that castles and, were these square buildings with a moat. But when we can see them from above, there's these intricate cymatic patterns, and clearly you can see why we call them star forts, because they look like stars.
So here's one in Portugal, one of the star forts, the huge amount of terraforming around it. Amazingly, this one is still in pretty much pristine condition compared to the destruction of most of the ones you find today.
Piano notes. As you can see, these are all cymatic. A sharp, B, C, and they're all these cymatic shapes. These are cathedral windows, this line here. These are, rose windows, they're all in cathedrals. And these are cymatic patterns, which are created through frequency, so either harmonics or intention. Down here we have, this is our DNA, so these are fractals or cymatic patterns of our DNA. This is what we get when it's good intention. We get these perfect, geometrical shapes, and when it's bad intention, we get this goo. So this is like a polluted river, and this is like a clean river. And so if we tie this back to the cathedrals that have got these windows, and they're connected to the ether with all these spires, and then what else do we have in cathedrals but these things called organs, right? And we have these things called organs in our body, and the DNA, cymatic is the same as some frequencies in these windows. So what this is all looking like is these are healing factors, or not even healing, wellness, I guess, just to keep people well. They're pumping out frequencies.
You can literally Google any city of the old world from the 1600s and back, and it will come up in these star fort shapes, and every single one is like Venice, and there's canals everywhere. Those were the highways of the time, but they were also so much more, with all of like this hidden technology, infrastructure, and buried history.
And you can see this one again, always these big cathedrals in the cities, but here's one of the stars, right, or batteries attached into the wall. And there's even another one of these more sort of irregular shaped ones out here, but they always have these stars attached, to these star cities. And again, the canals, and you can see this is a big island kind of thing as well. But the thing is with water's free energy. You float a boat, you use the current, right? The current.
How about the water wheels? What are water wheels? Water wheels are harnessing electrical power. Electricity just as much as it was the physical power and mechanical power that they used out of it. What's to say that windmills and water wheels weren't actually generating hydroelectric and wind power a few 500 years ago?
This is a drawing. This is New York City, right? Battery Park is because this is what was there, a battery. A battery.
And we are live.
Right. Hello, we are live. I really need to make some new shorts, don't I? I'm watching that and I'm thinking, I've seen this like 50 times.
Indeed.
Get your act together, Campbell.
We are here.
Thank you for joining.
People are stoked.
Another live stream for the Autodidactic Alchemist. CJ DV, hello, Kiwi MacArthur, Grateful Goddess, Misty Blue, Max Maximus, Matt G, Innes, hello, welcome, Pamela Stupa. Oh, Birdie, Steppenwolf, John the 1-4, nice. Do you live on a hill? That's the question. Do you wander up and down hills?
Evil Jack. Oh,
US Reset. Hello again. Oh, we've got a Twitcher. All right.
We do. We are live on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Several YouTubes.
And there we go. And I've actually connected my Spiral Up channel. So I'm actually going to start doing something on my Spiral Up channel, because it's been a little bit neglected over the last sort of 5 or 6 months. So I'm doing some streams and chatting to people. And I did a stream this morning. I did a Coffee with Cambell. So I'm going to do that every Wednesday. Just if anyone ever wants to talk, got any questions, I'll just do a live stream because I miss most comments and messages. I really seriously don't even say I'm horrendous with social media.
There's just so many.
And all that
we
kind of
do
stuff.
Try.
Oh, it's just tiring, isn't it? You just look at the multitude of them and you just like can't be fucked looking at any of them. It's like, But anyway, that doesn't matter because we're here for good vibes and high vibes and to have fun. Hello, guys. I heard about Star Forts. What did he say? What if there's a fallen beneath the fort? Well, why a fallen? Why not an? I know we're told they're in prison, but that would be bad frequency, wouldn't it? I think they they look good when we look at the cymatics. The cymatics, the good cymatic shapes look like star forts, and the bad ones look goopy.
Yeah, right. The full geometries. And that's what today's about, is looking at Antiquitech and trying to make out some sense of how it works and what that technology is.
Indeed. So basically, we're not prepared. We have pictures and we're going to go through them, and Bernie is going to do his best to explain how it all works. Because
I shall try.
All these buildings that we see. Yes, all these buildings we see have all these components, and it literally looks like they're components, right? Because we get all these different buildings. We get the traditional dome buildings like the Vatican and the White House and that. And then we get buildings that'll have domes in weird places, or one in the middle, and then they'll have a tower, and they'll have all these other different components on them. And it's almost like all these different components it's like building a machine, right? And they're all different parts, and you get all the components from the old building store, wherever they came from, and you put them together, and you have your machine that does what you want it to do. That's what it looks like to me,
right?
Anyway.
And it's on a macro scale, where today's technology is all the micro processors, that micro scale of building and geometry, as well as today's is also digital, where the past was all analog. So it's macro analog energy technology, and definitely some fractal geometries, sacred geometries, and all about harnessing that natural energy, from what I can tell by it all.
Indeed. So should we jump into some pictures and we shall keep talking? Give you some visual stimulation.
Absolutely.
Let's see now.
We'll also check in on
this out so I can actually see what's going on.
Bert and Ernie's alchemy a little bit. I'll give you a little update while you're looking.
Bert and Ernie.
Okay. So on the left there, you can see
Bert and Ernie.
The silver still up there, and the copper, but it turned a little blue, so it's oxidized and turning diatomic. So
that's the one that had your blood in it.
No, that's on the right side. It's still white. It's thrown all sorts of crazy shapes and like a little world in there with my blood in there. Kind of crazy. So I'll give some updates on that as we go along. But also there's Antiquitech and Tartaria, right? I want sea monkeys. Made it to Tesla Tech last week as well, which was pretty phenomenal. So I'll play some clips of this video as we go along too throughout, but I'll let you do the pictures first.
So that was a spire. Looked quite inspiring. Okie dokie. Let's see what we have. Okay, now. Oh no, I need to get my other second monitor sorted, man. All right, so this is Russia, circa, I don't know, 1880, 1900. And this is typically what we see, right? Towers, domes, some are onion domes like these, some are different type domes, some are these whatever we call these domes, I guess. And the Antiquitech on the top, we always get these balls. Right, you can see one there. There would be one there. And this is a good example that it looks like all these different components that have been put together, right? It looks like, oh, we need this big resonator here. We need 2 smaller resonators. We need whatever this is here on a it just looks like that to me anyway. So this is
Right?
what Antiquitech is, right? And we get building all over the old world. There spires everywhere. And then, of course, they basically turn them into flagpoles, put flags on them, and go, no, it's just flagpoles. They have columns are interesting
wires,
too, aren't they?
also the wires connecting from the top of the flag poles. I guess they take a lot of them out nowadays, but especially in Russia, they still have them connected, and throughout Asia too, to the top of the cathedral domes, to the top of the spires, and going down. And it's their energy antennas and their waveguide antennas and the geometries of generators, growing, magnifying sound, and this natural energy.
And something you see that's interesting on some of these old photos, and I don't know what it is, but you can see it. See around here, this distortion.
Yeah, right. As if there's still an active field being generated,
as if it's
captured within the image.
As if it's like a static field, or exactly. You see it everywhere on these old pictures. So it's interesting. See, you just get this distortion.
Very good observation. And I actually kind of noticed that with a lot of my plasma stuff in the monoatomics, when I take video or picture, that it creates a bit of a distortion in the recordings and the images as well. So this is probably the exact same sort of fields being captured in the working model.
Indeed. And this is called a monstrance. Interesting word. Of course, monster is another word for human, right? So they say. And this is basically what this looks like, is a small replica of what we see in cathedrals and other buildings too. But, typically in what we're told cathedrals, we see architecture. And this is a handheld version, which, sort of again goes to, is this tech? Is this just a handheld version, a smaller version of what they're using on the cathedrals? Is this their micro? That's their micro tech.
Yeah, the portable handheld version, and that's it, right? You see the same sort of stuff on top of the structures, on like the spires, but then you also see them in the cathedrals of medium size, right in the central halls and areas. So it's they keep replicating them.
Even down here, it's got like the windows.
Exactly, fractal waveguides.
And this is pretty famous. This is St. Basil's, of course. And this is, look at the size of this place. And apart from the fact that there's a couple of people around, but not many for a completely, this city goes off as far as we can see, right? There's a tower way out there somewhere. Look at the size of this place, right? This is the first story. This is like literally one story with towers, and this is a dude. But look at this.
Right, and the horse and cart, and they're closer too, right? They're in the foreground, so it makes them even larger compared.
Well, look at the size of the
mountain. Oh yeah, the guys on the side there, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And I mean, this is one of the best examples of, Antiquitech we've got, really. You can see every dome is different. So I've got a different finish on it, all inspired, all got their merge balls. But the biggest thing is, as Bernie said, is how did they build this? Look at the level of tech. That there's no, this is before power tools, and this is the biggest question that we sort of pose is, how is any of this constructed? let alone designed, you know. Like, this had to all be designed before. Imagine that designing this topic with all these towers, how much work that would need, because all these have to be supported by the building below. It's ridiculous.
Right. See, so Matt G here is saying people are complicating this. It's DC voltage between ground and sky, the differential. And you're correct on that regard of like how it's generating the electricity part of it. But I personally believe there's so much more to it, including the sound energy and the resonant energy, potential health and healing effects, also with the organ within it, all of these different instruments and energies throughout it, that I believe it's a lot more than just harnessing electricity from the atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like a whole system of just harnessing like good vibes, right? Good energy, the right sort of harmonics and stuff. You know, and using it for things like, you know, in the food, right? For health, and even, and we know
holy
it works,
water
even for people's state of mind. You know, you can literally make people feel better with the right vibration, right harmonics.
Exactly, and we're learning a lot about structured water these days, and the colloidal waters, energetic water. So this holy water, the cup of light for the different fountain of youth, all of these different legends. But was that original holy water, was that structured water that they were giving and healing people with within the cathedrals and what are now religious places?
Exactly, because we get these sayings like, you know, be filled with the glory of God and all this. And of course, you know, all religions are very tied to healing, right? All great religious leaders were also healers. Right?
Absolutely.
And so there's a big tie there. And what are we looking at here, Mr.
This is one of Walter Russell's diagrams and periodic tables, some alchemy chemistry, I believe, in that one. But what he's essentially demonstrating is the spiral, the vortex shape of creation, geometry, and universal structure, essentially, in this one, and color as well, which is light energy. But I guess that one got mixed in there. It does fit into it all, though. It's Walter Russell's work has a lot to do with geometry of physics and chemistry.
Yeah, there may be a few random picks in here, but you can kind of see, like, we've got the center path here, which is of course the path we all need to try and walk, and then we've got the charges, right? The charged areas, the positive and negative, the magnetic flow. So interesting. All right, so this is July 1790, and this
Paris
looks like it could be a bit of electricity going on. What do you reckon?
100%, and I am actually gonna pull up the explanation they gave on Teslatech on this exact same photo and their thoughts on it.
Yeah, okay, it does look exactly, doesn't it? Especially these back ones look like what we were looking at. Okay, I shall
illumination.
Release the screen to you.
It looks as though a pyramidal object with this very exact geometric angle is being used most likely to generate the power for this scene of illumination in Paris. We have another example similar in Paris in 1799. This is from the Champs-Élysées in Paris, and you can see in the picture on the left there are two pyramidal objects in the background, along with this obelisk-looking structure. But the two pyramidal objects, once again, have this 76-345 geometry. Again, most likely heavily involved in the creation of this free energy technology.
Just playing that one clip for that, just because he had that picture.
Hello,
And
Jim.
they're saying there that they believe it's the geometry of the pyramid structure and this 76.345 degree angles are a major part of it.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, apart from obviously the fact that we've got pyramids which aren't that angle, I think, but if we look at the pyramids in Ethiopia, they're much more like that. But also, do you remember the story about the Russians, and they were building pyramids and storing food and stuff in them? Do you remember that?
Yeah, exactly. And this Charlie Ziez that was presenting there and talking, that we'll go back to a couple more times throughout it. He actually has studied the Russian pyramid testing and experiments greatly, and he's got some sort of, I forget the exact name, but pyramid research group he's been running for the last 10 years on it, and he references it quite often throughout this Tesla Tech presentation that we'll be playing here. But I'll let you go back to some more pictures.
Right. So that is the picture in question. And look, there's a dude round off here.
Right, and they didn't pick up on this, but I think the ball of lights that almost looks like mercury balls, maybe they're glowing, and that we see this quite often, this iron ring with all of the balls up top on both the ships of that time, as well as just random like A-frame antenna looking things that they have coming up out of the ground throughout the Russian and Eurasian areas from this time frame where it looks like they're using power.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing to notice is this is 1790, and look at what everyone's wearing, how they're dressed, all the fashion. Now, most of the pictures we look at, you know, are like not, you know, well, I suppose most of the first pictures are the sort of 1850s, but the fashion's completely changed, right? It's all just gone to drab black and white. Okay, so this is an old picture. This is one of these pictures we find, and they're always put up as, you know, just someone's wild imagination, but you know, they're fairly intricate, and we have found, we know at least in New York and London there are underground tube railway things, whatever they were, and you can see this is so this isn't really Antiquitech, but you can see here this is a big Capitol building, and it's connected down to, you know, is this what's going on, right? See all these buildings connected down?
Yeah,
I mean, how many spy movies, right? How many spy movies, and when they join, you know, the secret organization, what do? Oh, they walk into a building and then they go down in the elevator.
Exactly. And that it's throughout like China, throughout Turkey, all sorts of around the world, basically they're finding these ancient underground cities that are like 10 stories deep, the ones in Turkey are, and they're up for like 20,000-30,000 people.
Yeah. Darren Yaku, I think, 15 or more stories. They're huge. You can pull some of those up soon too. Of course, airships. Whoops, this has got someone's stamp on it. So these, right, this is very similar to that, you know, 1790 picture we saw, you know, similar sort of structures, right? And this is the Jeb, is that what it's called? The Egyptian
I believe
Jeb.
so,
this
yeah.
Is,
the inside of the
this is just a form that we find everywhere. This is inside the pyramid, and this is what are these, resistors?
I believe so.
Insulators.
Insulators, yeah.
Right? Insulators,
yes,
and
insulator,
resistors.
not resistor, yeah.
That is, yeah.
And Got to have Mike and Jeremiah on to talk more about these, go in depth, an episode of it in the future. I've seen a lot of the studies of the Jeb, of even what it's made out of, is like I forget if it's dielectric, or I think it's a combination of alternating dielectric and insulator or something, but that it's actual functioning energy device. Oh, there we go. Speak of the devil.
Yeah.
All that is electroacoustic
I've seen
technology, like... Jeremiah is saying. I say Jeremiah, and boom, there he is with the answer. Love it.
His ears were burning. So here we have some good examples of Antiquitech that are still up there, and these balls, that they're just everywhere. These, what we theorize, are full of mercury, and right? There's reasons for that. Mercury works as an amplifier. It amplifies signals. It has all these interesting properties, and there are some of these balls that people have gotten cracked, and they have mercury in them.
They have found the mercury, exactly,
stuff,
and that
man.
There's a recent patent of antenna that look identical to this, with a ball of mercury at the bottom and then the pole going up to magnify from that ball of mercury. And that I believe it's for signal generation, but it could have also been for the electric generation too. It's just ridiculous that we literally have patents explaining this technology nowadays.
It is. All right, so what kind of antenna is this?
That is more of a fractal ray antenna, I believe, and then there's most likely mercury on the end of each of those balls, and that's quite the cross-dimensional coverage of space, of frequency that would be bringing in. And you see a lot of them in that shape, and that they just cut them down into a cross off of it to hide it and say, oh, it was crucifixion instead of actual advanced antenna array.
Tech. I mean, just what's in the background on this one, man. But this again, these belfries, and these obviously just different designs of the same kind of component. So what are we looking at here? These, I've heard these are resonators, basically. So you draw in the energy, the mercury amplifies the signal, and the resonator is where you attune the frequency. Is that right? And then you send it off?
I believe so, yeah. You're tuning it in the resonating part, that first dome from the antenna, and then amplifying it in the bottom bigger circular domes. Going down, right? So that you've got it. The top part, the antenna part, waveguide antenna, that's harnessing it, trapping it, bringing it in. Then you're structuring it into the right form and shape, wavelength, and then you're amplifying it in the bottom portion going down.
So it's almost like a speaker. If you imagine putting this on its side and that being the speaker, and sound, instead of, ethereal energy coming in, this is what works out what the tune is, and then it pumps it out.
I believe it was a Russian channel, and I believe Global Vision knows exactly this, and he's got demonstrations of them working. I need to email him back. He was supposed to come on Christmas. We missed that. And then he uses, I forget what app it is for video chatting there in Russia. It's one that I haven't got, so I need to get that and reconnect with him, as most of this information currently is just in Russian at the moment, and needs to be translated over into English. And when I have Global Vision on, we will make sure to cover all of that in that episode.
Yes. Of course, the bells. Quasimodo told us about the bells. What was he trying to say? The bells, the bells. because
Well, and
the story is that in the Middle Ages, they somehow, we don't know who or how, when, but they invented a mix of copper and brass that basically sent the sound of the bell sideways instead of down. And it was also to do with the way that they were forming them. And then so recipeed it for the alloy, and of course in World War II and One, they went and ripped them all out and melted them down to make cannons that wouldn't work. And now we have no bells. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
thank you for the support, Mr. C. $5 super chat, greatly appreciated. And an interesting thing about the bell shape is that you've got Die Glocken, the Nazi bell or whatever, all the rumors of that at the end of World
the
War
flying
II.
bell, yeah.
But also there's NASA's ion drive or whatever the heck it is, where it puts out a little bit more, I think, energy or propulsion force out the one end that's open, is also the exact shape of the same bell. And that whether you believe in the Big Bang or not, I don't necessarily do from a physics standpoint, but regardless, its expansion and its shape is from its starting point to where it says we are now is also that exact same bell shape, so that it seems to be this geometric shape of energy throughout the structured universe, I guess.
Are you seeing these bells? Did that work when I changed picture?
Now it is the Archimedes screw, I think, going up into a water.
Archimedes screw. Okay. All right, hang on. I was trying to be clever, but it doesn't change it. God, you gotta keep up, StreamYard. What are you doing, man? Here's just some of the bells.
Oh wow! Look at all.
This is what happened. And this is obviously orphans, right? Get out! They're gonna kill you. But yeah, look at the amount there. This is obviously in a dock. They've all been shipped in. And look at these. I'm not sure what these are. If they're bits of columns or part of, there's another row of them there. So they might be another component.
Could be. And also look at the top of these bells. I noticed all the more authentic
they've always got
bells,
that,
they have this 4 crown style of piece on it. And I believe that has to do a lot with how the energy comes up on it, not just how they attached the rope or the chains or whatever, but that it has to do with the resonating aspect of it.
Exactly. They all have it. You can see here, like this 4-way, crown looking thing. But here you can see, look at this one. Big ornate bell.
Look at like the intricate ancient lost languages, runic language almost on that too. Like how the bells, I believe, are essentially Tartarian technology, huge, that was wiped out in the First and Second World Wars. And we got to get Olaf on as well to talk about the Slavic calendar, the 7,500-year-old Slavic calendar, and how it goes back in throughout the Tartarian area and land and era and all of that. And that there's Kremlins pretty much in every town or city area of old Russia, of old Tartaria, of not just Moscow has the Kremlin, but each of their like state capitals or provincial capitals and old towns had these. And within them are these super, super advanced, like geometric Antiquitech style cathedrals, and where all of these bells came from with the ancient alloys that are stronger than alloys that we have today. There's a lot of the nanotechnology within it. Some of them still exist throughout Asia as well. But so much of it has been wiped out. And
Yeah, and
Just
there's
it
so
blows my
many
mind.
stories, like, that song, right? Ding dong, the witch is dead. But there's stories about bells being used to keep trolls and different monsters away. But they were
Yeah.
definitely also, what they tell us is they were used to tell everyone there's danger. It was basically, if the bells ring, everyone runs into the church, right? And to get protected by God, I guess. But that's kind of the story we're given. But it tells you that they were both a warning and a protection system, I guess. Let people know
Right.
what was going on and to get inside the field, I guess. And we know, with different animals and different creatures, look at dogs. If you do the right, right pitch, they'll like lose it and run away, right? Because it's too much. So this is all frequency stuff.
And Matt G brings up another
Hearing the
good
bells,
point, the
Carl.
ball in them to ring. And most of the ancient ones that have that 4-crown top also had a ball suspended within it. A special way, I believe, too, that you don't really see anymore on how it rang.
That's interesting, yeah, because the way they rang the bells is they had like a hammer on the outside. It's not the bit, how we get little handbells and we ring them with whatever that bit in the middle's called. That's not how these big bells, they were rung from the outside. So if they did have anything hanging in the middle, it was part of the tech. But yeah, Shamanic Wisdom Keeper, I agree that they could. I've always thought that they're probably like a starter, if you know what I mean, like a starter mechanism to start the vibration, the frequency, and then it gets resonated through and amplified, and it's just sort of another way to start a machine that it could be like a key, right? Start it up, man. Woohoo.
Good point. Did you want to show some more, or should I play a little more of
let's see. This is Archimedes screw. So this is, again, it's not completely, it's not really Antiquitech, but we see these everywhere. This is like one of these octagon, what are they called? God, I've forgotten the word. The octagon things you see in parks and that, bandstand like type things. But in this one, you can see, look, it's got a big mechanism. Yeah, what are they called? Not pagodas, but yeah. Look in chat. Someone will be writing it. And
mezzanine.
This is an Archimedes screw, basically. So you can see there's water down here. It's sitting in water, and as it turns, it basically brings the water up, and you can
carousel
see it coming out here. So
gazebo. That's the word.
No, gazebo. That's it. Gazebo. You've got it. And even down here it says machine hydraulic, right? Water machine. So is this what they all were? Were they like pumping up? Were they part of this water system we see everywhere? And I mean, who knows? Maybe they had some power source and they were actually turning the water, or maybe they were bringing it up to drink or to water gardens. We don't know, but it's like this says all these buildings are all machines. They weren't, what we're told they were, right? And this is actually Da Vinci, isn't it?
Da Vinci, yeah.
They had each of all this tech, but again, what we see is these intricate things, right? But the idea doesn't suit the level of tech. This is all made out of wood. Where clearly when we look at that, that's the level of tech that really should be, you should be onto metalworking by then, right? So is this a copy of old world tech that they could only do it in wood because they could see it, but they couldn't replicate it as far as make the components in metal?
Quite right. Good observation as well.
Underground trains. Of course, this is a crop circle, which looks a lot like a cathedral window.
I guarantee there's a cathedral window out there with that same pattern.
Yep, there would be, no doubt, right? And, so what are all these? Again, attached to the cathedrals where they have the bells and the mosaic floors and the cathedrals and the domes and the spires and blah, blah, blah. But as you can see, they're very, very similar to these. These are piano notes, which are very similar to cymatic,
right? Yeah, the cymatic patterns.
Frequencies.
They are exactly cymatic frequencies, and that I guarantee some of these specific notes are the same window shapes, are the same notes that the actual organs played, and the implications of that is it's mind-boggling. Like, it would have been harvesting those sounds, bringing it into it, and redirecting the energy.
I mean, look at this one here. Massive. This E1. Look how similar that is to this. So they are, very, this shape here is very similar to this one. So these are just, this is our piano scale, but these could be notes that are outside, right? More healing notes and stuff, not our musical notes, but healing notes. So that's why we don't see exact replicas here.
And is that why they changed the frequency of the music there and tore out most of the old organs, remade them on the 440 scale a lot?
Exactly. It all went from 432 to 440. And of course, 432 equals 9, which is, the God number. And 440 equals 8, which is a loop, right? An infinite loop. And here we have bells. And it's interesting, right? Because how we have the 3 doors? There we have it in bells. And we think that what these are representing are like the equinoxes and solstices.
Exactly.
And here you just see these, right? Random, So is that literally like this house has got the old world, form of, pay TV, right? And that's their antenna, so they can suck all the information in. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? I mean, it's just random bit of tech.
Quite possible, especially all the ones with the mercury balls on them. Like, that's a high energy antenna, like high frequency antenna.
That's just an old car. Electric, 1,000 miles, 1 charge, 1910. Eat that, Elon Musk. This is just lower levels. That's not very Antiquitech-y, is it? Oh, Stuffed Beagle. This is
the glass.
Pavement lighting. Lighting lower walls. The glass, which actually you've been talking about, the purple glass, haven't you?
Exactly. The UV and the ultraviolet, the cobalt glass, and all of that you can kind of see. Supposedly the aura frequency, the Carillion frequency, and everything is in.
Yeah. And look at this ironwork that it's all set in, man. This old world iron. Still not rusted, not been affected by corrosion or anything. And that'd be probably the oldest iron in the city, right? The stuff we get today, right? I mean, look at cars, man. If you leave them out in the rain, they're rusted in 10 years. They're gone.
Right? Like your car's rusted in less than 10. And the iron back then never rusted.
No, there's a
holy hand grenade.
Like a big column thing. Holy hand grenade, or the Globus crucifix, or the cross on a ball. Just sounds. So obviously, right, Mercury ball again. And we know that, if you ever get stuck and are being attacked by a vicious rabbit, then this could come to your aid. Did I lose you, Bernie? Or was that joke just too bad to respond to?
Sorry, I was muted. I was typing there.
Oh, God. My best work, and it all goes silent. I'm waiting for a big response. I'm waiting for laughter like I've never heard before.
The gems,
silence.
The crystals, these precious stones, and like the crystals in the gold. There's got to be there's energy within crystals, and especially the more ancient alchemists' writings I read, the more it goes into it, and there's some sort of higher
course, we have them
technology
in crowns.
involved with it.
Always in crown, there's always a big crystal where the third eye is, and then necklaces with pendants, they always hang on your heart chakra. Well, traditionally they hang on your heart chakra, right, with a crystal in them. So yeah, what are they doing? More monstrances, like again,
Look at how advanced that is. And then they took out the functioning parts of it and replaced it with these false idols, most likely.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they don't look like they're part of the original, do they? They just been put in there. I mean, they could have been little vacuum tubes in here, right, filled with red mercury for all we know, because we do have some of these, and you can see that this is glass, and they actually have red mercury, or at least residue in them. Mercury. Oh, that's a mud flutter. So sorry, these pictures are a bit random. There's a big bell. There's an airship, this is of course old world tech, how they got around, and we see these towers everywhere. And this, just this setup, right? It looks a lot like a lighthouse, like the buoys we see out in the ocean and stuff. Just, all these towers, they tell us, no, they're just for clocks. But were they? All right, back to the Antiquitech. Moscow.
The fact that they built out so many of the landings for those airships and then all of a sudden just stopped. It's like, no, well, you had them everywhere. Like, you wouldn't have made, I think it's the Chrysler Tower or the Golden State Tower in New York where that picture is taken of it landing. Like, they were designed to be docking ports. Empire State Building, that's the one,
Yeah, there's actually like an interview with the current like whatever he is, the CEO of the Empire State Building, like the head dude there, like saying, "Oh no, definitely no airline, no airships ever docked here. No, it's just an antenna tower." And
really,
but we've literally got footage and but we've got footage and photos of them definitely on the Empire State Building, docked up the top, people coming on and off.
That's insane.
So whether he's just been lied to and he doesn't know, or he's just a paid shill, just because we're talking, he's out there going, "Oh crap, wasn't really." And then of course they release AI and say, "Oh no, it's probably all fake." That's right. I mean, and here again we have the three doors, right? We have someone's head, but up here we have. Right, in the tower, we've got the mercury ball here. I mean, look at this. This is just for an entrance, guys. It's just the entrance tower. I mean, and look, this isn't a walled fort, right? And it's all, we get told this story, this is, clearly a fort. It's got a wall around it. So it's all about war, right? Why would you put a massive tower so that everyone could see where you were from 100 miles away? And then have all of this stuff that can just be bombed and smashed so easily? It doesn't make sense. I mean, look at this stuff. Look at this mercury ball. That's huge.
Massive fractal antennas throughout. And yeah, you can even still see it looks a little like foggy interference around those antennas.
Yeah, you can see it all here. I mean, it's obviously an old grainy photo, but and this is of tech, right? She's out here sweeping the street with her grass broom, and not to mention the size. I mean, look at the size of that place, man. And another thing, like there used to be this. I just found this random picture. This is obviously more astrology, but it's pretty cool. But ball lightning, right? Ball lightning used to be a thing. Huge. It's not anymore. Was that happening because of rampant energy? Like that was leaking off these buildings that were still running? Who knows? Yeah, look at this, right? We've got dragons.
Quite probable.
Chinese dragons. Chained. This is representing basically astrology, right? So this belt here would be the astrological belt, all the signs. So I don't know. This may have been something to do with a telescope. It looks like you could have set something in
Quite
there
possible.
and turned wheels and but I mean,
Could have been
just this,
tech
right?
on top,
I mean, look at the
too.
work they go to. Up where?
Like if those were
Yeah.
on top of the domes, if that was on top of the spire to begin with, and then it's just on the ground afterwards.
Oh, this, yeah, right. Yeah. It's just everything they do. I mean, they clearly had the time, and this was building something like this was clearly not a really difficult thing because it's just been reproduced so many times across the realm, right? It was clearly they were doing this quite easily. Everything is just so ornate. I mean, here we've got a few pictures of some bells from the old world, but even here, everything was just so ornate, right?
Are
Everything's
those
covered.
lights
So
on top? Look right at the top there.
Language?
Like right in the middle. Sorry, on the top of the bell. Down, left. There you go. Right there. One on either side. Are those lights? Like they're illuminating.
Could be. This definitely looks electrical of some kind. But I mean, these look like the watches, right? That we see on the Anunnakis. And you do see that on buildings as well. So what's that representing? Is that the sun? Is this a machine that works when
Ezekiel
there's
wheels, Benjamin Ball.
Here we have another one. And this one's almost got like a jeb thing on top, right? Resistors and stuff, insulators and components. And you can imagine that, you know, if it was tech that was working. The what? The skulls.
On the left, the ears and the skulls, they look a little elongated, a little elfish almost.
They do a bit, don't they? But yeah, you can imagine if these were giving off energy still and doing things, then people would think that it was, you know, magical or whatever.
Yeah, right. In touch with God.
Basically, all the controllers would put it forth that way, and they'd appoint their religious people and say, this is definitely a religious object because you know, look at that light.
Right. And
when I turn this switch, it turns on. Look, it's God.
You got it. The elites are the what were they called back in the day of the mystery schools? The priests that were left over with some of the working tech. Look, I've got this giant plasma ball. I'm talking with God, or you know, like, oh, I got electricity to work. Oh, this magic from God.
Yeah, exactly. So here's just a few more of these bells from the old world. So, you know, again, how do we have these pictures of? I mean, look at this. This looks electrical as. Looks Egypt, man. But how do we have these bells in the old? How are they casting them and making them? I mean, look how electrical. Look. So these are with this insulator type thing.
And that the silk is also a static conductor, that the original flags are long and high into the air, that it could be pulling ions as opposed to representing your nation.
And of course, L, electricity, right? L is God, L, electricity. And then elect, we elect people to be in power, right? It's all tied up. So those who stole the power are the ones that are only in power because we use our elective power to put them in power. And they become L, which is God. You've got to stop doing that. Columns seem to be a big thing as well. I'm not sure if they're a way to hide conduits or something, you know, or cables, or if they're actually a
could be a macro
or
part
going
of it.
on, but
part of the wave
pictures. Oh, look at that! That's like one of those three. Oh no, they're dogs. It's not really. Gosh, more bells. And there you go. Look at this one.
Right.
Component on top. And so this is a step back in time from what we normally look at, but it's the same, shapes, the same things we see today. You'd see this on a power pole today. We see it in ancient Egypt, and we see it here. So, electricity, power has been here the whole time. And when you get it right, you can go through portals, apparently. How many pictures like this do we get? Big
I fully believe it.
with some kind of portal thing. More bells. And of course, we have these things, which we were talking about before.
Right? Like the organ of the analog machine.
Organ. With the balls on the top, of course. And most of these pipe organs have been taken apart, but literally a lot of them are sitting in the buildings that they used to be in. They just literally take them apart so they won't work. And a lot of them did get trashed as well. But I mean, look at how would you even design something like this? The knowledge to be able to build something. This is a musical machine. These are all different notes. Like, the engineering is ridiculous. And then working out how it would work and how you play it, and God knows. And of course, we get stuff like this today, right? Ancient ruins that look like high tech. So that is Brazil, Colombian World Expo, spies everywhere. Oh, look at my sword. It's bigger than yours, and it's mightier than your pen. Ha ha ha.
Like, can you even swing it? Like,
stole a giant's helmet. I can't swing. I know, right?
Just a giant sword.
That's good, man. It's a giant sword. It's Goliath's sword, and there's the helmet. Okay, so these are swords with, look at the handle, right? And then, of course, this it's not really a usable sword because you can't really hold this hilt, but yeah, right, vacuum tube in the end of a sword.
Like, why would you need
them, but we have
like that is
exactly.
Straight tech.
And we see this a lot, don't we? Like gemstones in the hilt on the top, in what are they called, the pommel, in the pommel up here. We see that a lot, and yeah, look at this, right? So this is like, we see this a lot in the monstrances, but that's tech. A glass sword is no good. Oh, this guy's ready to fight the other guy. My skitma shall destroy your straight sword. Ha ha. I mean, look at the hilt on that thing, man. Holy dolly.
That's crazy.
And they're a one-handed sword. So yeah, here's a better picture. As you can see, it's a sword.
Imagine
glass, right?
I want to see that tested in like next to a giant Tesla coil, or like within a Faraday cage that's like got powered up or something.
Wow.
Like,
yeah, because how often, this is the thing, right? How often do we hear about swords of power and light swords and flaming swords? And I mean, of course, there's He-Man, right? He has the power. So, and there's those old pictures from the 1600s of the knights fighting, and it looks like their swords are lit up. They look like bloody lightsabers.
Yeah, they draw them and depict them lit up.
So were they tech? Is this literally, are we looking at, power swords? Oh, and then we have ceilings. I mean, God, this is India. India is just on another level, man. I mean,
it truly is.
Look at this stuff. It's just ridiculous. But look, how this one here could just all be machine components again. There's actually quite a few temples in India where a lot of these pillars turn. They actually spin.
Yeah, and still have metal.
Provan, is that his name? Not Praveen Mohan. God, I can't speak.
Yeah, Praveen Mohan.
Recently, a couple of months ago, did a video. Yeah, he does awesome stuff. But Yeah, man, what is going on? I mean, what's this? This is a dude who's got like 4 extra bodies. What is going on? Are these cloning machines? I mean, look at this. Looks like a
At
laser
least an
should be shooting out of it,
interdimensional
doesn't it?
portal.
It's ridiculous. All fractal, all. This is the thing. It's all perfectly symmetrical. All this stuff, just to get one of these perfect, it would be a good, a big job. Unless you have machinery, it'd be easy. Here we go. Here's one with the wires that you were talking about.
Right, and
Of course, we've got a couple of balls
to the
here.
balls.
But again, I mean, look at this. What practical use is this tower apart from some kind of tech? Don't know what these things are. They almost look like where you tie things up, right? Like airships, maybe. Who knows? And all that tech, and they're walked.
Right, and just
because that's what you do.
Wood boards and mud on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that one.
Here's another one, very much like the shape we were looking at, the pyramid shape. Step wells. I've got to do a bit more investigation on what these are.
And the material
they look
that
more to me
they're
like
made out of.
If you ran water down. Yeah, they look like they're to run water down and it would charge it kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
or
like.
capturing energy in and focus pointing of it into the water, into the ground, right? Like potentially too.
Yeah.
Giant satellite dishes or potentially.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, maybe they're mirrors.
Yeah.
The
focal point
into it at nighttime, and it gives you the mirror so you can study the night sky. Because that's what a lot of these old ponds and things were. They were literally at nighttime. All the astrologers would go around and sit and look into the ponds, and they just reflect the night sky, and that's how they study it.
Oh, yeah. Look at those.
Antiquitech, these pods. So the lions, who are the lions, right? We see lions, we see unicorns a lot, don't we? It's almost, and now we know, well, they still do it, but especially the stories we're told of, the kings and queens of ages past, they always had their animal mascots and motifs. They're always known as, on their flags as the lion or whatever. So, is this one team and the unicorn's the other team? And the unicorn lost because it's now in chains. Are we the unicorns?
Oh,
look at these, right? These
poor
unicorn horns, don't they?
Yeah, the spiral into it too.
Yeah, the spiral's a thing. I mean, it's just, look at this stuff. It's just everywhere. Ridiculous.
Can you go back 1 and 2 there?
Down.
That one. There's like the swirly about halfway down there. There's like that swirly that goes like this. Should I draw it? Right in the middle. Up a bit. Now at the very top of where you have it now. Up. This guy. Stop. Down. The swirly, and then it goes like an S almost, or inverse S there. That
that
is the shape of magnetic flow. Apparently, I've seen a lot of guys. Edlead Scallon goes into this geometry a bunch, as do a couple more very advanced people in the magnetic over unity anti-gravity research I've seen.
Nice. So that's got like a positive, negative, or in-out sort of magnetic flow. Almost very similar to what we see at the end of instruments like violins and cellos and basses and things.
Exactly.
And you also see it on the top of pillars and in the architecture. You see that symbol a lot. And here this one's fairly similar, but it's just been plantified, right? Turned into a fern, elephant thing. Very similar. I mean, there's such a botanical theme in a lot of this stuff. These obviously, there's not many of them left. I think Blackpool's one of these, Blackpool Tower. But most of the metal ones got ripped down. Eiffel Tower obviously didn't. But there were lots of these metal towers. And I mean, this is, this is ridiculous, right? What is this?
I know. And that's the same geometry a lot of the monstruses.
Yes, exactly. Yep, all this, yep. It's not the best angle, but yeah, exactly. All these features, yep, just like a monstrance. It's a monstrosity.
That they've taken them all down.
They did.
Look at that.
Pillars, right? Look at that. Yeah, everyone's different, man. So what are these? They're sectioned. So did they spin at one point? Who knows? I mean, the word pillar, or what do we, what column? I wonder where that comes from. Colo. I don't know. I mean, this is what we call a power station,
right? Like, looks identical to a lot of those power. I forget the exact word, like substations and whatnot, transformer stations and everything. And when these were originally found, how much of them were covered in different gold, silver foils, or at least copper, and the different wires that were probably connecting them and all of that they stripped it all off. We know all the pyramids were stripped.
Yep. And now they tell us it's the gold rush. But it wasn't the gold rush. It was the rush for Freemasonry and it's gilding, right? The Gilded Age, right? What were they really doing? I mean, look at this. What the hell? Now, is this brick? I don't know. Actually, this might not be brick. This might. Yeah, wow, man, that's reed. That is cool.
That is.
What the hell?
Wow.
So, I don't know what it is or where that came from. Ah, there we go. So yeah, look, these in the chapel, like monstrances, right?
Right, the medium size.
And I mean, yep. And what is this? Oh, and of course up here, you can't quite see it, but that's that sort of four shape.
Yeah,
like the four-leaf clover, which we found out is, what does that represent? It's like a magnetic thing, isn't it? Yeah, there's a better one. It's you showed it in a video that you showed that we did like a year and a half ago, and I was watching.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back to that.
I think it was like it's an actual symbol for like polarity or something, or something really interesting. But
I think that was another one of Edleed Scallan's.
Oh, that's that one.
Like,
is that real?
Just wow.
Am I going forward or backward? What's going on here? All right. Micro circuit board, macro circuit board.
That's outside the pyramids of Egypt, or somewhere in Egypt, correct? Is that?
Yeah. So pretty interesting, right? Circuit board world. Now this is an engraving on a stone in China. And this is, of course, a computer chip, silicon chip. But look, looks like a transformer head, doesn't it? That's Transformer Koala. I mean, how did they carve that into a rock?
Right.
Of course, most people have seen this. This is an actual cathedral floor, and this is an antenna, like a what is it? An electric antenna?
Yeah, like I believe so. Resonant Schumann.
Again, right? They tell us history never repeats, but I beg to differ.
Over and over.
And I mean, it could be as simple as, you know, when you use a macro, you know, it's different, runs off different frequencies. It could be a lot more, you know, conducive to our health. And when you shrink it all, you would think it then runs at a higher frequency, right? And that's harmful.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what they've done. Frequency, of course, and of course, most of us have seen this picture. And if you can see the symbol here, you know, we got told this was the sun, but someone's overlaid this cymatic pattern on it. As you can see, it's pretty similar. So is that a cymatic pattern? Because he's got some kind of instrument in his hand. Is that some kind of
tuner,
field generator? I mean, and this is, you know, the older back we go in time, like the better the buildings look, right? So you can imagine this is, if it's still standing, it would have been completely stripped and it would look completely different. But, and this is the thing, right? This is what they all used to look, you know, this intricate and this finish. And this, you know, this has probably had stuff stripped off it as well. And it's black and white. I mean, who knows, right? Wow. This could be just like rainbow colored. But there you go.
Almost looks like some plasma ball in there. Captured.
Whoops. So here we go. Mercury amalgam balls, resonators covered in, well, gold or copper, brass, silver, copper coils under arches and columns, and all fractal. So fractal antennas, copper coils under arch. Yeah, so all these bits here. And we see, you know, you can see it on the window there. They've always got these funny, you know, surrounds. You know, are they part of, looks like a pipe, doesn't it? Antenna. So this is saying resonate. I was saying resonate prime. I'd say that that's more of an amplifier, because Mercury seems to be an amplifier, right? It amplifies signal. We've seen, like, there's that video of the guy with the, you know, the television out in the field in Russia somewhere, and he literally puts a bit of mercury and connects it to his antenna, and he picks up like HD TV from the US.
Right.
Red mercury in the antenna. Oh, okay. So, all right. So, and that's something we've theorized is, did these used to have glass tubes in them, and were they vacuum tubes of some kind? And this is what they're saying, right? Red mercury, capacitor frequency. Oh, there you go, frequency amplifier. And some, what are these called? Windmills, little kids' windmills on the top spinning around. So that's how, I mean, that's pretty much what we've come up with too. That's kind of how it works. And we know that you get more free energy, you know, ethereal energy the higher you go. Then it basically, you just need an antenna to receive it, and then you just funnel it down. And these are all to convert it into the type of energy you want to get into the building. Oh. But with this,
look at that.
So all these at turn of the century photos or before, when, you know, electricity was brand new, and they say, but we had electricity, and that's fine. Show me all the factories that were making the light bulbs. Show me all the people that were replacing the light bulbs. Show me all the electricians that knew how to wire this up. Where was all the wire being made? You know, they just kind of say, I mean, look at the luminosity there. with what we're told, this,
Exactly.
you shouldn't be able to have lights that powerful. You know, they should not have had lights that powerful. They just shouldn't. It's not in the
And
narrative, man.
so many of them all at once. Like there's literally like what, thousands, tens of thousands covering that whole area, and they're claiming
Good point. How much
right where
voltage
it's
would
first
that
made.
be drawing? Because they then need to, they need all the power plants to run this, right?
Exactly, at a point where they claim they just have come up with it.
Yeah. And they're just literally covered. So you can imagine, this would be pulling a lot. And of course, they tell us, that these were the first light bulbs, so clearly the most inefficient, right? So they're really pulling some power. I mean, look at these. Look at this. That's just, what the hell?
Yeah, like just the top one too. Look at that. Just crazy.
They shouldn't have lights that bright. All right, here's an old picture. And this is interesting because, well, for starters, we've got a big, look at this, big pipe organ in here.
Or 3 organs right there. One giant one. At the very top.
Yep, underneath these 3 towers. Got the Antiquitech here, got the dome, so I've got all the features. But it also looks, like we've got underground levels. Look, we've got these arches down here, which this looks down. It almost looks like the levels, up here somewhere, right, in the ground. But look at this. What's this? Some kind of graph? Some kind of something that someone needs to work out? 3, 6, 8,
Definitely
10,
a crazy
12,
old
13, 15, 17. Some kind of thing. And down here, I don't know what they're doing, freaking out. They're all naked. I don't know. They got busted doing something dodgy.
That is quite
it's got all these
drawing.
letters. I mean, okay, so that's, I wonder if that's a guitar, or,
some sort
mandolin
of
or whatever they had back then. Because here's music, right? She's got a musical scale, and then we've got the organ. So this is some kind of big music machine. Okay, here's our.
It is.
What's that? A mandolin?
Charts.
No, like a lute. A lute. That's what they call them, isn't it? A lute. And this would be the lute, the fretboard. And this is probably telling you how to play it. Here we've got more music written, and we have a pipe organ. Pretty interesting. And then just like, some psychedelia, why not? And this, it is a clock, isn't it? Is it? I don't know. Is that a clock? What do you reckon? This inner bit looks astrological.
Maybe?
Yeah, it could be astrological, maybe. Because that's the other thing. We've got clocks everywhere, and we know that the clocks aren't original. The clocks were all added. Here we go. Another music machine. Oh, and we got pan on the pan pipes. And what is this? Is this robot chicken?
Looks like robot chickens. With music underneath.
And here we go. Got another instrument. So this is like, what are those, those that play themselves? What are they, pianolas? Is that what they're called?
I'm
look,
not
it's run by water.
But yeah, look, the water
in here.
A water wheel spinning it.
Spinning this. Yeah, and that's spinning this, which is, these are attached to strings, and when they hit the holes, they get plucked, and they pull down the poor duck's beak and wings. So that's pretty rude, but you can see the pipes up here. So yeah, some kind of instrument. And we are underground.
Wow.
There you go. In Conismus, Tomo. So there you go.
The original robot chicken.
Part of it. Yeah, man. So this, I think, is new. This is a new structure.
Yeah. This was somewhere in Siberia, I believe.
Pretty cool. Yeah, you can see there's a tower, like a line there, and looking almost exactly like the one that I show quite often I'll see if I can
Yeah,
pull it up.
what they call Chinese or pagodas.
Where is it? Pagodas, yeah. Pagodas. Where is the pagoda? Oh gosh. I can't
And
find
good
it.
night,
Oh,
Frankie,
you know the
New
one I
West
mean.
Reset. Oh, and good day, Jade Dreamers.
Here's another one. Jade Dreamers. Bit of free energy. Here's another one, pagoda. This one as well has the wires still up here. Ball, you can see there's a wire. And again, we get this funny distortion. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a photographer, but is that some kind of static or
good point.
electrical radiation of some kind? Because this is this is a modern photo. You see it on the old black and white ones, but that's clearly a modern
that's
photo.
field interference of some sort.
It's all right. Pagodas, man. Like they're just big. God knows what they are. Again, right? Look at all the wires coming down. And these are just stylized to different, cultures, but they're doing the same stuff. This is Tesla tech. As you see, it looks exactly the same. Got a big magnet, mercury ball. This is in Thailand. These are, is that called a pagoda? I think this is called a pagoda. But they're also the
different name for those ones. I forget.
Yeah, there is in there. It's called and they look like bells as well. They got the bell shape. I'll remember in a minute. Actually, was there a name on that? No, it's just called photo. I hate when I don't name my photos. So annoying. I mean, look at this. What's this antenna doing here? All right. And again,
these are ones I suspect that still might be functioning.
Yeah, well, look at the interference field around it.
You're right. Like the more I look at it, it's hard to focus in on it.
We don't really get no. I don't think we're seeing it down here, really. Not like there. See how that's literally around it. So this, it could literally, we could be inhabiting the buildings and the factories, right? The power machines. I mean, look at this place. Again, wires, right?
Stupa. Those other, some of these are called stupas. There's pagodas and stupas, both in this picture.
Thank you. Yes. And again, we've got this interference. I don't know. Someone who's a photographer is going to have to tell me about that. But that's what it looks like. But yeah, I mean,
where's this one?
And this, of course, was made by these guys. This is, I think, this is Thailand.
Oh, it's Thailand.
Oh, it could be Burma or Thailand. I'm not sure exactly. What have we got? No, I haven't named it. Oh my God, I'm horrendous. But yeah, built by barefoot monks. Just a random piece of tech, right? As you do. Just in the middle of the street, why not? And this looks like it used to be a fountain too, doesn't it? A bit.
Definitely could be structuring the water.
All through. This is old world, mud roads, horse and cart, electric cables everywhere. These things which we used to see all the time on buildings and back in the 70s and 80s.
And those are massive, like
down. This one, I mean, this one's ridiculous.
The big array ones that's used as like military broadband radar antennas.
Yeah.
That last one, but look at this one. This is just nuts.
What is it?
Like,
what is it?
Exactly.
It's got no purpose. It's massive. It's fenced off. It's not. It's just what is it? What's it doing there? I mean, and of course, the background as well.
Yeah,
this is the old world, and same thing. Like just these, and just these little people that always look like they're just wandering around, right? They don't look like they're going to jobs or they've got houses. They're just sort of there. Yeah, they're just confused, man. Just confused. You know, horse and cart, and look at all the wires everywhere. Well, they got all this up pretty quick, didn't they? And of course, the street light, you know, there's no wires, right? Everything's underground. So whether they be gas or electric, it means there's a whole system underground, which we don't see. It's not talked about, right?
Very good point.
And then as we get further back, all these poles, they seem to lose the wires, right? This might still have wires. But yeah, when you get further back, that all the wires disappear and they look like they're wireless. These funny posts, right? Here. There's no wires. What's going on?
Right? Like in so many
This, I think, does have
planks on them. Just doesn't make sense.
So this is again Russia. And of course, outside the big power station we have, I mean, look at the size of this power pole. It's huge and it's wireless. More domes, mercury balls, wireless. Back in the horse and cart. Oh,
good point by Wobbly Boost that back then it was DC, like a direct current, not like AC electricity like it is today, which is a lot different.
Alternating, yes. So and that was the big thing between Tesla and
Edison.
Edison, that one.
Yeah.
I was going to say Westinghouse, but Edison. And Edison, yeah, went out and electrocuted elephants and stuff to try and discredit Tesla and all this awful bits and pieces. But who knows? But yeah, look at this. Looks like a ball, not necessarily a bell in here, right? But look below it. This looks like a vacuum chamber, doesn't it? Coming up here. You're on mute, Bernie, if you're trying to talk. Oh my God, how many times I got that picture?
All right.
This I found interesting.
Look at that giant.
Just because, again,
spotlights,
right? We shouldn't have lights that powerful back, in the 1800s. But it's what we get shown. Oh, poor Bell. And this is war, right? This is what they do. War is the perfect tool to destroy all this stuff. More wireless things in Russia. So there we go. There's probably a crap load more photos here. More stupas with Antiquitech on the top. And these again, we're told that these are made so that monks in them and meditate, which kind of makes sense, right? Because it could be tuned that you would sit there and
could be a portal if you're meditating on the right frequency,
or it could be it could be a portal. It could be like a instant transporter. Who knows? This one, because these are columns, right? See how these are columns, and these ones have been broken, and look what's in the middle of them. They're just metal.
That's some classic.
So again, are these some kind of way to transport? Yeah, so they just transporting the current down, and they just make them look like columns because everything they do looks awesome, right? So they do it. More monstrances again. You can see they've added these in, and don't they look like they're added in where there should be vacuum tubes? I mean, these all look like there should be a vacuum tube there.
And the center would be the biggest plasma activation. Like guaranteed, those ball lightning essentially would be in that middle.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. We got video. What's this? Oh, this is inside the one in, what is it, Spain? What's his name? The one they've been building for 100 years. Gaudi, is that it? Yeah, they've literally been building this place for like 100 years, man.
I forget the name of that one. Just absolutely nuts.
You know, it's nuts. I mean, but it's different to the old world stuff. You can see it's more, you know, it's got some features of it, but it's not. It's different. It's pretty cool though. World's Fairs.
World's
Now,
Fair.
This is like a monstrance, but this is more like a tower, right? Rather than a cathedral. It's like what they want us to think is a clock tower. But again, it looks like it's handheld, or at least house size, right? Maybe you put it on your boat or your car, who knows? Here's another, you know, just these little bits of tech, right? Again, they look like components that you'd get and you put them all together and make your little machine. I mean, look at this tech everywhere here, components.
Why would they be selling these cathedral tops, these church tops at these shows? Like, oh, the World's Fair, we're just going to be selling your local cathedral rooftop here.
Yeah, literally, this is like a trades fair where you go and, yeah, these are people's wares, right, that they're trying to sell. It's like, yeah, come and get this, you know, free energy device, just whack it up on your roof and you won't need to join up and pay the power company. Here, there's some kind of coil thing. Don't know what it is. That's similar sort of cone shape though, and this is all just machinery and stuff. But they've found, right, the inventory where they go when they need inventions, and you can see this is in an old world building with these windows, or is that could be a monstrance of some kind. Again, more so literally, like, again, these are components for buildings. All right,
we got a lighthouse light right there.
Got the steam train. Yeah, oh, is that? Yeah, okay, that's what it could be, a lighthouse light. Good pickup. And yeah, stuff down here, columns, and this bit in the middle, this was actually a platform that people stood on, and it took them down through the middle of this huge shed, and they just sort of, so they could look over everything.
Yeah, giant escalator style thing.
Yeah, and this is a flying train, right? A hanging train in Germany, Wuppertal, the Wuppertal Sky Train. Interesting, and it goes above a canal, and you can see this arm here goes straight into the side of this building. But it looks like old world tech because it's made from this old world iron. Of course, we have star forts, which are always cool.
Like,
fractals,
look at
they also look like machines.
The intricacy of it.
Yep.
So that one was dug out more recently.
The cymatic. Yeah. So this was,
but it was redug out. The canals were still there.
Yeah.
Reclaimed.
Yeah. They did it in the 60s and 70s, but I mean, they were basically, digging out the canals that had been dug and had just been filled in over time, or from a mud flood or something. And so they just uncovered it is what they did.
Yeah, they weren't building it.
That took them, what, 12 years or something?
Yeah, just
I think is that right? 10 or 12 years?
A decade.
Yeah, with today's, with big diggers and front-end loaders and all this machinery. But then we're supposed to believe that every single star fort in the realm was built within a 200-year period. Work that out. This is frequency. This is a oscilloscope. Is that right?
Yes.
Oscilloscope. So you put frequency in, it gives you a shape, and of course, it looks like a star fort. You get all these stars, right? Look like this. Look like this. Crop circles. Look at this. This is the planets, the wandering stars. All right, so many shapes. All look the same. This is music. It's all the same, guys. Ancient Egypt. Jeb, right? Looks exactly like all those pagodas we just looked at. And that's the last picture. So that was a very big file. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that one. A little wander
Right,
through
and so much
Antiquitechiness.
acoustic energy, musical sound energy technology that we ignore today, or it's intentionally hidden, one or the other. And also sacred geometry, those specific angles and shapes and resonating geometries.
And when you look into all the, the religions, they're all, very tied to music, right? There's in the, Christian, well, we used to have choirs, but there's obviously all the songs and stuff. We used to have organs. But then you have like chanting, monks that chant, you have throat singing, you have trumpeting, all this stuff. It's all very tied closely to ceremony. Oh, and look, BurnEye has the little symbol for magnetic positive and negative on his hat.
I do, don't I?
You know that?
Almost, but it's a musical signal, musical sign. Sorry, symbol.
Yeah, right.
And music is magnetic, and it's a magnetic energy technology, and there's so much more to it. We went actually pretty deep with it in Rife the other day, and with Jeremiah Zertis and the alien scientist, we're going to be doing more of it, and another Science of Sound episode coming up next week, I believe, going much further into
Bass
this.
clef. That's a good call by Jay. When you write music, when they write music, they always start with like the treble clef or the bass clef. They've got to have some meaning, right? That treble clef thing, man. I mean, where the hell did that come from? Have you seen that thing? It's like a wee woo.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely symbolic of something, and that the bass clef looks like the symbol on your hat, but instead of next to each other, they're on each end of a line, if you know what I mean. So it's got a curl, and then it goes down, then it's got the curl at the bottom. So it's the same kind of symbol, right? So is that telling us? Is that the clue, right? Is that at the start of all this music to say it's magnetic?
Right, the energy flow of it, I suspect. Should I play a little bit more of this Tesla tech?
You want to show now?
Yeah, I'll play.
If you want to show that, I'm going to run and have a quick wee and get a coffee while you play that, and I shall be back.
Sounds good.
Now, here's an example of a Buddhist temple in India. This is the Mahabodhi Buddhist temple. You're going to see that the temple itself has this geometry in the main body of the temple. And we're also going to see a coil, which is characteristic of many of these temples in India and Asia, which has this geometry as well. So these were all theorized to be energy generating technologies. We're going to see several examples of these. This is the Vishnu Shanti temple in Delhi, India. May have been that they were getting a vibration from the earth with this hemispherical part of the temple. But once again, we're going to see a coil at the top with the 76-345 geometry, and we're also going to see a fractal antenna here. So we just continue to see this geometry in the context of ancient buildings with this technology. This is one of many Gothic cathedrals. I looked at every single Gothic cathedral that was at least listed in Wikipedia, and I found that about 2/3 of the Gothic cathedrals had steeples with this technology. Now, I picked this one out just as an example, but it has this geometry, and it's also on the right. You see this Antiquitech. This could be some sort of an electric accumulation. Maybe it's a capacitor system of some sort, but it was used in the production of free energy. So the information that George and I are developing, we hope maybe to be able to figure out all of the geometries. But I know that the vast majority of the balance that aren't this geometry have other golden ratio related geometries. Fascinating information in and of itself. There is no information on the sacred geometry of these steeples that's ever been published, either by churches or in secular research. So, you know, when we get all this done, and many of these examples are in my book, you know, we may do a separate research study on the geometry of these steeples. Every castle in the world that I have been able to look at has this geometry as well. This is an example of a technology where you see the 76-345 geometry, but you see it in a central location with 4 smaller steeples coming out on each side. And this again was a type of free energy technology. You'll see up at the top there's both an antenna on top of this Königsberg castle, as well as a mercury ball, which was part of the free energy technology. Here is San Marco Bell Tower in Venice, Italy. This bell tower is an example of, or was used as to develop many bell towers around the world, as we saw from the megaphone earlier. All of these bell towers have this geometry because it helps to amplify and clarify the sound that's created from the tower. Now we're going to look at some Tartarian architecture. Tartarian architecture, this is a worldwide empire that is theorized to have existed. There are maps back to the 16th century that have this empire covering all of current day Russia, India, Middle East, Eastern Europe, North and Central America. And it possibly was a worldwide culture. But this is the St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. Many people think of this as the Kremlin because it's been kind of brought in as part of the Kremlin compound. But you'll see these were all free energy devices. These towers all have the 76-345 geometry. There were other technologies at work here as well. These onion domes, the green and blue domes here. We have fractal antennas. We have what could be metal ball repositories here as well. So we had lots of different technology at work, indicative of a very advanced civilization that put these together. Here's a picture of Red Square, which shows this geometry everywhere, you know, along or in the buildings on Red Square. Here's another example. This is called the Annunciation Cathedral. I have a whole section in my book that deals with free energy technologies. And one of the common characteristics of many churches in Europe and mosques as well is the existence of this red and white or black and white horizontal striping. And so I picked this one as another example of Tartarian architecture. In addition to having the geometry, this particular Annunciation Cathedral also has some outstanding examples of fractal antennas. You can see as well the lines that are coming down from these. These were electrical lines that generally ran into the ground and was part of a free energy collection technology. Here's just briefly some examples of headwear. On the left, we have, this is Lord Vishnu, one of the 3 principal Hindu male deities. All of the Hindu deities, as well as the Buddha, you know, are depicted with headwear with this geometry. So this was significant in the East. The center picture is actually from The Wizard of Oz. This is the hat worn by the Wicked Witch of the West. This geometry goes back to medieval times and continued through to contemporary society as well. All the witch and wizard hats have always had this geometry as well. And on the right, we see a dunce cap. The dunce cap was actually developed in the 13th century as an example, or based upon the witch and wizard hats of the day by a 13th century Franciscan monk named John Duns Scotus. But so what we're, just again, we've got many, many more examples in the book, but this is showing you mankind knew about this and used this geometry in every way possible for creation of free energy, or in this case, to get a higher connection to the higher self. Now I'm moving into some 19th century technology. This is an example of an iron furnace. Before the steel industry began in the late 1800s, iron furnaces cropped up all around the United States. It started actually in Pennsylvania, where I live. This particular one's only about 15 miles from where I live, but these were the mainstay of the iron industry in the United States. And every single one of these iron furnaces uses this 76.345 geometry. And why is that? It's organizing the field in such a way that it's maximizing airflow through the system and maximizing the temperature achieved inside the furnace. Here's an offshoot technology of that. This is called the Sibley tent stove. This is another 19th century technology that was invented by Henry Hopkins Sibley. He invented this whole tent, and this tent stove could be placed inside the tent, vented outside, and used very little fuel.
Hello.
Describing diameters of the circles, you find that once again we find this phi cube scaling in the platonic solids as well. So now we know that both platonic solids and fractals scale at the same scaling rate. And finally, what I found was this picture of the torus. Most of you are familiar with the idea of the torus. The torus has been theorized for a long time to be the organizational process that is used both from the subatomic to the galactic to create our physical reality. Well, sure enough, as it turns out, when you most of the pictures that you see of tori or toruses on YouTube or on Bing Images, they're not really spherical. But this particular one I found, I know is spherical, and it is because it's the physical award given for what's called the Breakthrough Prize in Fundamental Physics. There are some videos on YouTube that demonstrate that this is a spherical torus. And sure enough, when I went to measure this, what happened? I found the 76.345 geometry in this as well. So what came to my mind, this was right before I met George a couple of months ago. I put all this information together right before I published the book, and I just started to point in this direction. I want, could it be that we could develop a model of scaling using the geometry of the 76.345 pyramid and place that inside the torus and come up with a dynamic model for scaling, which includes the ability to scale both fractals and the platonic solids. And that's essentially where I'm going to stop now, because 2 months ago, George was looking at this exact thing, and I'll let him talk about that. But we came together, and we've been able to put this model together that
is New Geometry, KNEW Geometry. So please check that out. And I teach courses and things like that in sacred geometry. But I didn't know Charlie, like he said, about 2 months ago, and I started to work trying to figure out this angle because I do a lot of work with the golden ratio.
Oh,
Sorry, I
oh,
paused
nice, yeah.
there. I showed a bit of what I wanted to show on that one, and then Ancient Historia, a great smaller channel like myself. He's wanting to do a episode with us soon. Play a quick clip of his. When was Antarctica really discovered? He put this out a few days ago. Great video.
Yes, and as Jay Dreamers said, the word Taurus
Britain there,
etymologically means
France,
strong
Spain,
tree. Very strong
Italy.
tree.
If this is Columbus's map, no wonder he got lost. Pretty terrible, isn't it? It's 1492. The size of that. Assume it's supposed to be Egypt. It's skyscrapers in 1492. But then, of course, simple tribesfolk building all these. Africa there. Europe, 1492. Here we have the next one. It says pre-Columbian. We've got a wild woman. Fun history for you. If you've ever heard of Hairy Mary, you should look up Hairy Mary. At some point in history, people depicted Mary Magdalene as being covered in hair like this. Look at this. This is strange, isn't it? Well, that's some nightmare fuel. Look at that.
Cryptoids.
Poor bloke. Looks like he's all right about it, doesn't he? All these blokes are literally just blowing. You've got Africa, Europe, Russia, and Asia. This is how they were drawing maps before Columbus told them of the New World, okay? Before we knew about the New World, this is how we drew maps. One might say they were shit. This map from 1502. Not messing about anymore. He got serious. They've discovered the New World now.
Nice.
It says 1513. As you can see, they've discovered the tip of South America is in 1513, okay? So this one is 1519. Same stuff that we had before, all of the discovered land, but now they've discovered the tip of this. So they know there's something over here from the maps, provided by Columbus and others that have now traveled there. Now we come to 1531. Look at this map. 40 years after Columbus has discovered America, okay? We got Africa here, Europe. Interestingly, you can see Tartaria right there. What are we looking at here? We have a little place at the North Pole here, Greenland there. Also, Hyperborea. So that's very interesting, isn't it? 4 sections, 4 islands encircling the North Pole, which is shown as being.
Let's be honest, we all have our own.
What do we have? Dude, I wanted
Another
to find out
island.
what we all
What
had our
Hyperborea
own
is
of.
supposedly is a land beyond the North Pole, as it's described in Greek mythology. A higher race of beings came from, and they apparently praised the sun god Apollo. So I find that very interesting, that something from Greek mythology is making it onto a map like this. Lots of people will say, back in those days, they just like to write stupid shit on maps. They'd hear stories and tales and draw stuff. However, this map, compared to the other maps that we've been looking at, is by far of the best quality. It looks fantastic for the period that it's from. It looks brilliant. For them to waste that talent on things that don't even exist, that they have no evidence for, no knowledge of, no measurements, no stories, it's crazy. But then we've got this Terra Australis. That's Antarctica. 300 years before Antarctica is known about. It's the Strait of Magellan right here. All right, so supposedly 1532. So just consider the difference in these drawings. And what do we see? We see the islands that we saw earlier, the Hyperborea Islands. Antarcticus. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but they have drawn buildings on Antarcticus. 1532. So how is this thing discovered in 1818 again? Weird, isn't it? Antarcticus. It's right there. So now we're looking at 1541, and as you can see, they're starting to understand the coasts over here, Mexico and Panama, and they've sailed a little bit around this side, and they know what South America looks like now. We see down here at the bottom, Straits of Magellan right there, and that coastline has some kind of names or something going on. We don't have a Hyperborea in this one. So this was 1548. And what can we see down here? We see Antarctica. Circle Antarctica. It's the Antarctic Circle, right? With Antarctica, right there. This is 1550, and look at the quality difference in this 1550 map between that 1542 one we just saw a second ago. There's no excuse for this map. Here we have another one again from the 1550s. This one showing the Arctic Circle. That's the Africa here. South coast of America here.
Cut out.
I noticed
Like
that
cut
too.
all that out to turn it in.
And
Or
also
being cut out, like, and it's worse in the southern hemisphere. It's twice as bad because they literally have to turn the outside of the circle into a point.
expand it, right? And he's pointing out
they just
here
cut so much out, man.
the gap between what was South America and Antarctica or Terra Australis in these old maps, so 1500, before it was supposedly rediscovered in 1800s, is that these would have been copies from pre-reset and at a different time when maybe Australia and Antarctica were connected, or at least whatever this Antarctica was much bigger than they claim it to be right now.
Yeah, indeed. And I'd say it all the time. I've done a few videos like with Australia. They say, oh, no, you know, it's that we didn't know it was there. It wasn't discovered till the 1600s, but it's clearly on maps in the 1500s called Australia, you know, the land of Australis. So, yeah, exactly. It's like they knew they were there and they were out trying to find them again, right? They were remapping the realm after the reset, after the cataclysm, but they knew stuff was there, but they had to go and find it again.
Exactly, and that it was a different, lots of them had different coasts and the cities weren't there anymore. Or were they? Who knows?
The further back you go, the more populated it looked.
Right? So
and everywhere, which is another thing for the looks like the temperatures changed somewhere, like the environment. It's got, you know, it looks like it used to be a lot more moderate right across the realm, and we didn't really have frozen poles as much.
Ooh, look at that, Hyperborea again.
Antarcticus isn't on this one, but what is the tip of Antarcticus that we saw in the older maps today. This gap is rather large. It seems to be that it's physically moved. pre-Dutch discovery, 1572. Of Australia there. Once again, there is a narrow passage between two tips of land in South America. Wouldn't it have been very easy just to sail down here and go, huh, there's no land over here? They managed to sail around all these bits in the past 40 years. Somehow no one went to the southern tip just to confirm that there was a chunk of land over there. Now here we are, 1575. Now, as you can see, from 1575, we have quite a lot of cities. Once again, what we will see down here is Antarctica. Now that Terra del Fuego, Land of Fire, that's the desired coast. There's a coast of fire here as well, but it's not written on. This is a bit better quality. The coast of teachers, I think. That's the coast of good signal. There's some more names that I wanted to show you. Hopefully we find that map. Another map here, once again showing Terra Australis. Written a couple down that aren't actually here right now. Campagna de Roldan, which is around here somewhere. It actually says Sierra de Menadas. Now, Menadas is plural of the Monado, which a Monado is a female worshipper of the Greek goddess Dionysus. They would practice orgiastic rituals. So it was apparently a mountain full of naked, horny women, is what this is telling me. How is something that's frozen being called the Land of Fire? They've just guessed that there's some land there. Maybe they have. Why wouldn't they go and visit it? And these guys, they've got boats nearby. Are you saying that they couldn't see this? So this is the Piri Reis map, Africa, South America. Then it also has what seems to be the tip of Antarctica.
All right.
There you go. What channel was that?
That is, oh my goodness, Ancient Historia, and I'm in contact with him. We'll have him on in the coming weeks as well in a future Autodidactic Alchemist episode, as he's been doing absolutely great work on old books. And yeah, I'll post the link
Ancient Historia
for everyone. And yeah, he does lots of looking at old maps, 1600s, 1700 books, and yeah, lots of amazing videos over there of hidden Antiquitech and, well, the hidden truths of maps.
Yeah, the maps. Yeah, exactly right. They're a big clue, and I still haven't got the answer to the tropics, right? Why we still have the Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer when we shouldn't. They're supposed to be, I don't know what they're supposed to be, Taurus and something, I think.
Yeah,
they're supposed to move every couple of thousand years.
It's I think two off, so like 4,000 or 3,600 years, something like that. That it hasn't
two cycles, which is 4,600 or something. Two turns of the wheel, two ticks of the clock. Research to change all our areas where they are now. 2040, it shifts again. Hoo-hoo. Antarctica was tropic. Yeah, it was all. I mean, we've all heard the woolly mammoths found frozen, flash frozen with tropical plants in their stomach, and so they give us all these hints. And but yeah, none of it makes sense. Jesuit, can't read that first word. Lied about everything and trying to make people think there was horny women in Antarctica. What?
Indeed.
Very nice.
Crowdfund us a trip to those 4 islands, though.
Oh, sure, man. Greenland, definitely, man. I'm into it.
Well, apparently one of them, if not two, would be in Canadian waters, supposedly, I believe. And
well, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Right.
I was going to say, like before, when we were watching that video, and he was saying that the Greek stories say that the people from Hyperborea worship the sun and Helios. And we have this story called the Smoky God. Now, if you haven't read it, check it out. It's from the, oh God, was it 1600s, I think? A guy from Norway, I believe, and his son took off, went north, and made it through the storm and found this land with giants. And the people there worshipped a sun, which they called the Smoky God.
Yes.
So right? We do have all these link up.
Right, and he wrote a book about it after he like escaped from an insane asylum or something. It was the sun.
Yeah, he got back and basically started telling people his story. They stayed there for like, told his story. He grabbed him and threw him in a lunatic asylum, and like for basically his whole life, he got out when he was like 70 or something. And but he's he went with his nephew, and his nephew sort of shut up until after his uncle died, and then he wrote the book. I think that's what happened. There you go. By Willis George Emerson. Thank you very much, Jay. Yeah. Written in 1908. Okay, so it was the 1800s, obviously. Yeah, and there's a few. There's lots of these interesting stories out there.
Pretty similar to the Admiral Byrd Antarctic story as well, right? Of him going into
very similar. And the thing they did there is he says like the inner Earth. I think he says it in the interview, and then they've got all this big story of like going down a hole, like inside the Earth, but inner Earth, especially to a navigator and explorer, that's just like that can mean the middle, right, of the Earth. Like as the middle land. It doesn't mean like inside.
The land somewhere, right? Exactly.
Just like like North Pole is the sort of so it doesn't so he was talking about same kind of thing. We had like light, suns and stuff and all this giants and all this weird stuff, and then we get Avatar. Which shows the same thing pretty much. So it's all interesting. So they kind of tell us, in the movies what's coming. They're showing us everyone turning into superheroes and mutants and with all these powers, right? So is that coming? Is that coming soon? What's your superpower going to
be? Peace.
What would you have?
Making peace.
Peace.
Peace on Earth. That'll be my chosen superpower.
Around and hit people with peace.
In peace. Choo, choo, not pew, pew.
There you go.
Choo,
choo, choo, not pew, pew. Yeah, man. So there you go. Have a piece of it. Have a piece of peace. And peace is one of those weird words again, isn't it? Peace. It's almost like whole and whole. It's almost like peace is everything you want, but peace is just a little bit of it.
Very
what whole? Very strange language.
Whole piece. An oxymoron. A whole piece.
Whole piece. P-E-A. The EA piece, not the IE. God, bloody spells. Spells. Lots and lots of asylums. Yes, I covered that a little bit the other day in my live stream, but. I have to do more on the asylums, man. Martin did a video showing photos, like the earliest photos of people, and he was looking at them. They just all look crazy, man. They just all look crazy, and it's like, is that because they've been through a reset, or are they crazy? I don't know. Did they all get pulled out of asylums?
Yeah, or
but I don't know what the word asylum means.
Angry that they're losing their electricity and their history or their longer lives, or who knows, something. Had all their children
so we just put in a factory to work their whole lives. Yeah, all that. Indeed. All right, well, we've hit 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 29 seconds, and we have 389 of you watching. Thank you, everyone, even the person who gave us the angry face. Thank you for that. I think that's Facebook, is it? Must be.
Yes,
angry
it is.
Face. Thank you.
Oh, dear. We triggered a Facebook.
We love the emoji. Woohoo! Yes. Can we trigger some more? What do we say?
But we got
I know,
4
there's
hearts
only
and
3
thumbs
genders.
up. To one angry.
That's all right. That makes up for it. All righty.
And
Well, there you go. So Paul Cook is going to be talking to Waking Up with Analog
Ben
in
waking up with analog.
4
Indeed.
a.m. Thanks, Paul. My time. So basically, it was in about 12 hours. That'll be on. So check that out. We will be back on Tuesday with Lucas from LC King, and we're going to talk about the realm and the electric realm and what is this place and cathodes and anodes and all that kind of cool stuff. So that has been arranged, and we're also hopefully arranging a chat where we're going to get Paul and Dr. Narco Longo on and talk about geopolymers. So that's all coming up in the future. And of course, I'm going to be live again on Friday morning. And who knows? My plan is to do a little live show every morning. So I feel like I'm doing something. So I may be live tomorrow. Who knows? I'm thinking of doing it on Spiral Up. So we'll see what happens. I'm getting motivated after Christmas. I'm getting there. I'm almost
perfect.
Awake.
Spiraling up on Spiral Up tomorrow. And I got the next episode with the Hutchinsons, How to Build Your Own Crystal Battery Free Energy episode coming up this weekend as well.
Nice.
So
make sure you tune into that. Links below. You'll find BurnEye's channel. If you're watching on my channel, go across and sub to him and
vice
all the other
versa.
stuff and do all that good stuff. And yes. And yes. Stay awesome. Thank you for joining us and spending some time with us. And we will catch you on the next upload. Now, are you going to push the button, Bernie, or am
I'll
I
push
going to push
the
the
button.
button?
Okay. Ta-ta.